The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
Sveno says, why is critical thinking not enough on its own to get somebody to click? Is because logic is merely a tool to them. The reason why people critically think is to serve a purpose, to feel better about themselves. Experience is central. So as a result, what happens is they use logic, they use critical thinking up till the moment that it starts, questioning the attachment they have on their own experience or identity or whatever, and then they throw critical thinking overboard. That's why logic or consistent patterns that bring about reality or this consistency should be the goal and shouldn't be a tool. Because experience is the tool. This chase for experience as a goal, this chase of glorifying experience is truly what is imprisoning you. Because it's not what it's about. Life is not about the song, bro. Like, the song is merely an emerging property that allowed better navigation of the organism and the superorganism. If you truly embrace that by going through it emotionally, it's not about going through it. You can't do it through logic or through inner conversation. You have to do it and relate to it emotionally. Then in step 4, what you then start doing is just you start acting logically, and you start thinking also probabilistically. Ego and identity just completely vanishes. Relating emotionally, what do you mean? With what emotions? You just have to, I'm going to give you a stupid example. If I say a certain word you don't understand, I have to speak a word you get, you understand, like a chair. You understand what a chair is. If I use other words that you've never heard, it is unrelatable. And it's same with emotions. You need to emotionally relate to what I'm saying. You have to feel it. You have to experience it. The feedback loop has to find its way to rewire it subconsciously. And you can do so by self-reflection and really emotionally try to relate to it. Go to your inner child and really try to figure out what is it that you truly value, that you desire the most. And it's for everyone, this inner balance, this existential inner balance, this peace that you try to achieve through control or whatever. And you realize that's why you are even in this comfort. But the problem is you value this experience more than anything. That's the problem. The feedback loop values itself even more than the organism that brings it about. How fascinating is that? And that's why you can do stuff for your own experience that goes at the cost of the organism and the superorganism. Because you're dysfunctional. It's really like a glitch. And if you realize that this inner balance that you try to achieve your entire life is right in front of it, by just realizing that it's merely a tool, and all the meaning you try to give it and all the purpose you try to give it doesn't lie within the experience itself, but lies within why it exists in the first place, which is life evolving. This is really like enlightenment in the most simple, boiled down form. But of course, it will only be something people can adopt when they understand it emotionally. So this is merely information. Go through the steps. Step 1, value and love logic by understanding it brought about your own existence and that you emerged because it helped the organism to thrive, and how all the beauty around you is brought about the same patterns, and how understanding them brought about scientific revolution and has enriched experience tremendously, even brought about self-awareness. In step 2, you go to the essence of what drives you in your daily actions, the emotional drive, and you start figuring out that it's because of, many people say comfort, family, whatever, but if you go even deeper, you start realizing it's merely this experience desperately trying to find that inner balance, because it translates into a reality that is more in line with reality. That's the funny thing. The more you feel balance, the more you're in line with reality. And that's why both hemispheres, on one end, like the reason, and the other hand, the emotional calibration, aligns when you feel inner balance. That's why cognitive dissonance brings about suffering. And that's why this cognitive dissonance is at the root of our will to change. But the problem is we live in a society where our identity, which is an imaginary obstacle, is the cause of most of your suffering. It's an illusion that is the cause of most of your suffering. It's not even reality, because reality is actually quite fucking good. You guys have pretty fucking dank life, to be honest. The biggest suffering is the meaning you try to give to experience through purpose and meaning of identity, which is not real. It's just not there. So if through step 2 you really figure out this essence of what drives you, you just reconnect it with the actual essence of what should drive you, which is the consistency that brought about your experience to begin with. It's these consistent patterns, it's logic. And the moment you switch that around, you go through a complete paradigm shift that really makes you see the world completely different. It is important though to know that it's probabilistic. The logic that brought about what you are, the consistency, is still probabilistic in nature. So it's not because it's probabilistic, it's inconsistent. It's because consistent patterns emerge from probabilities. You have to understand it as well, of course. But in step 3, when you go to that realization, you go do that by visualizing this essence of what you are, this experience, and you visualize logic, and you realize that you owe it to logic that you exist. You really embrace that because it's true. It's what you've always wanted. You wanted answers. You wanted to figure out why you're here. You realize that it's because of logic that you're here. You truly understand your true purpose. And as a result, you just merge. It really brings about so much emotions because you realize, but wait a minute, my entire chasing in my life was just a misunderstanding of me chasing experience while experience was merely a tool. So the mean to the end switches around from first logic for your experience, from experience to logic. It switches around. And then in step 4, you just keep doing logical things. You try to understand and you try to contribute, and it really exponentially makes you grow as an individual and also solves almost all of your inner conflict because it's the identity that is causing it. Kodosuro says, I think you got to realize that sometimes the people on the outside don't think the same way, and therefore when you just disregard emotions. I don't disregard emotions. I find it so fascinating that I keep repeating it. It's not about disregarding emotions. It's about finding emotional balance. And the way you do so is by aligning what you value the most with what is actually what you are. And when you do so, you realize that it's not about experience. It's about the consistency. And that brings about a paradigm that is so much more in line. Do you guys realize, I've already said it over and over again, and I'm repeating myself. You have the experience, what you are right now. You have control to go to the essence of what you are by experiencing and navigating and change what rewards you. Do you understand that? I don't know if people can wrap their head around how much power that is. You can literally go to the core of what drives you and change that. And the reason what drives you is because you've learned it through approval seeking as you grew up. And if you change that core essence drive from experiencing resonance, experiencing balance to consistency, you literally fix a glitch that was the cause of not understanding the real relationship between experience and organism. It changes your life completely for good, for the better, and for the better of the world. It's true self-awareness. That's why I broke all these world records. That's why I can do things that people think is inhumane, because I don't value experience on a fundamental level. Yet I'm happier than anyone. I'm more happy than all of you guys. I'm more successful, I have better friends, I have better relationship. I can make more money. The sad reality is I'm more successful than you will ever be. For myself and for the world. And the funny thing is I'm telling you how to be like that for free. I'm not even asking money for it. Everything you try desperately to achieve through your emotions and all that shit, you're failing at it more than I do. Most of you guys will probably end up trying to do a shitty job. Like honestly, most of you guys will end up doing a shitty job. That's really sad reality. And these shitty jobs will probably be taken over by machines. Depending on where you live, you'll be either on government money or you'll just be homeless. That's really like, a reality of a lot of people in the next 10 years. And the funny thing is, this is not just me. Like Elon Musk and Bill Gates are warning humanity for it. They say like, your jobs that you guys think and take for granted will be taken away. Most of the people go study for some stuff that won't even exist when they're done with school or 5 years into it. Reality is becoming more and more competitive. Companies look more and more people with experience because there is an overflow. All the automated jobs are being automated and only the best of the best with more experience manage to make a living. Reality is that the intersubjectivity is not going to take care of you the way it took care of the previous generations. And some of the most insightful people in the tech world are warning society for it. Not just some, quite a lot. So all this safety you're talking about, you're just gonna get owned so fucking hard. And you know what? Nobody's gonna care. Some people in your environment are gonna say like, oh, so sad. So sad. Maybe it will feel you better. So you studied all these years to get this diploma. So sad that you got to work on the McDonald's. Oh, so sad you lost your job at the McDonald's because the computer can do it better and cheaper. So sad. Maybe you'll dip your misery a little bit. But at the end of the day, reality is just the one that rewrites everything, whether you like it or not. So all this comfort you're getting, all this safety you're getting, it's just you bullshitting yourself. And you know it. You fucking know it. You're completely lost because you're following your experience to lead you. Your experience doesn't lead anywhere. Do you understand that? What should lead you is logic, is consistency. That brings about thriving and evolving. It's not your experience. Your experience is empty, has no purpose, has no meaning. The only thing that you can give it is feeling good. I want to feel good. But that's not what it's about. Feeling good is just a mechanic that evolution has given you so experience can calibrate itself better and feel rewarded when it actually does something that is aligned with reality. So the moment you create a feedback loop trying to get, a better feeling out of your experience, you really are dysfunctionally destroying yourself. And you see it with people eating themselves to death, smoking themselves to death. And that's why I keep repeating it. You gotta realize that you're screwing yourself over. Life is fucking beautiful, man. And it's the most beautiful when you do what it's designed to do, rather than losing yourself into some crazy idea that you've learned because you grew up. It's not even yours. All these beliefs that you have, that you hold so dear in your identity, it's not even yours. You learned that shit. All this value you're giving yourself is bullshit, it's empty, and you fucking know it. The moment you start realizing these things and put these things in context, you really set yourself really free. You start achieving so much more. And don't try to backwards rationalize, but emotions, this and that. Like, you will understand your emotions better than ever. Because you'll start using our understanding of them to solve them. You'll start understanding, thinking binary is part of how emotions work. It's flawed, so I start storing thoughts more complex. So the emotion connected to it is less strong. I detach myself. You start not beating yourself up over emotions because you know you experience them before you're aware of them. You have literally a feedback loop within a feedback loop. You just understand these things so you can overcome them, and you are able to do that. Your experience has the ability to rewire your emotions. You know that that's what they do in psychotherapy. Whenever you experience an emotion, you never write it back the same way. Every time you experience something, you write it back away based on how much meaning you give it. The funny thing is, if you start thinking in consistency, you start taking away the meaning of these emotions, and the past doesn't matter anymore. Because you know it's nonsensical. The only reason why the past matters is because you're giving it meaning, because you value your experience and your bullshit identity. You're literally carrying around your prison that is not even there, and you keep rewiring it on a neurological level. You keep rewiring all your suffering over and over again. Every time when you experience your suffering, you rewire again. So next time when you access it again, you can suffer even more. How funny is that? It's actually quite a sad story. You can actually look it up. Memory reconciliation, how the brain works. Whenever you experience an emotion, you make it liable, and then you write it back again, based on your understanding of it. But of course, if you try to give meaning to your identity, you're walking around with this baggage that has been created. This shit of identity. The last 200 years, the Industrial Revolution, it's created. You're just a fucking little drone that is programmed to consume and do a little shitty job and buy shit it doesn't need. Your entire life is a scam. It's just a scam. And you don't have the brain capacity to see it. When I was 11, by the way, I figured this out. I figured out how bullshit it was. 11 years old, by the way. And I was not that intelligent, by the way. It's just because you see through the bullshit so quickly. It's so simple. Everybody going around trying to buy shit, impress people they don't care about. They sleaze their life away to buy stuff and go like, look at me, validation, validate me. Nobody gives a shit, bro. It's a lie, it's a scam. And you keep it alive because you've learned to be rewarded for identity, getting fake points that mean nothing, like good job, boy, yeah, like a fucking dog. So far that you can't even use your brain. Even if I start talking about these insights, show really day over day how your brain works, you don't even have the ability to process what I'm saying. You don't have even the fucking ability to process what I'm saying because you're so fucking far gone up your own ass. But you are setting yourself up to suffer more and more and more and more. I'm giving you the fucking key to fix it. I'm giving you the key to fix it.
realize that experience is merely a tool. It's not the goal, it's not what life is about. No matter how much you have learned and see it on TV, like, do what makes you happy, go follow your dreams. Bullshit. That's not why you live. And that's why it also doesn't work. Why does it work so much better to help someone? How many people really experience that? I know some people came over here, they say like, the reason why I came over here to help is because I realized when I help people, actually I feel a bit better about myself. And that's why they came over here, because they felt good helping others. They are trying to spin it throughout their experience, but experience is merely a tool. And when you realize that, you start trying to base your life on what is most consistent, what is most logical, and you start contributing to other people's lives. You start giving. You don't need to take anymore because you have enough. Funny thing is, all of you guys watching this stream, you guys are in a better position than fucking King Hendrik VIII back in the 1600s or whatever it was. You guys are living a king's life, but you don't see it. You don't see it not because it's not real. You don't see it because you're believing in bullshit. Day in, day out. You're just lying to yourself and you know it. That's why you keep coming back to this fucking real talk. Because I'm the only one that speaks sense. You feel it. How many people actually feel like, you motherfucker, you're right. I know you there is something in me. There is so much that wants to punch you in the face. But there's also this part in me that knows that what you say makes so much sense. You have this duality. You're fighting your own bullshit right now. And the people that actually manage to make the jump, they end up clicking and solving their bullshit. That's the reality, you know.
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow The Real Athene on Snapchat.